Alrighty, so here we're looking at solving literal equations. What is a literal equation? Alright, a literal equation is an equation whose solution will be expressed in terms of another variable rather than a number. Alright, let's have a look at a worked example. We've got 2x minus 3 equals 7 is a linear equation. Alright, it's a linear equation as it has one unknown, x, whose value will be 5. Alright, so the big thing, a linear equation has one unknown. Alrighty, let's have a look at how it actually equals 5. So we've got 2x minus 3 equals 7. Rightio, we need to get the x on its own. So we're actually going to apply some inverse operations, working reverse through BODMAS, alright, in the inverse direction. So we've got 2x minus 3. We're going to do plus 3 to each side. Alright, whatever we do to one side, we do to the other. Remember, we want to get x on its own. So then we're left with 2x equals 10. Finally, we want to get the x on its own. The x is being multiplied by 2, so we need to divide by 2 to each side. And finally, we are left with x, alright, 2 divided 2, 1x equals 10 divided by 2, which is 5. So x equals 5. So this is a linear equation rather than a literal equation because it's linear because x is equal to a value, not a variable, alright? If it was x equals 5y, that is when we get a literal equation. Let's have a look at the next example. X plus 2y equals 6 is a literal equation, right? Whose solution for x is x minus 2y. Let's have a look. All right. X plus 2y equals 6. All right. We want to get x on its own. So we are going to simply subtract 2y from each side. And we get x equals 6 minus 2y. Alright, so this is a literal equation because x is equal to 6 minus 2y. Alright, it doesn't just give us a number, a number value, it gives us a variable as well. Alright, we've got the y on the other side, so that is why that is a literal equation. Alright, so there's two ways that we can solve a linear equation. There is a method 1 by hand, or there is method 2 using a CAS, so your calculator. Now we've had a look at the Go by hand in the previous example, but let's have a look at the next one. We're finding this one, we've got x plus 5y equals 9, so we've got a literal equation, as there's two variables. Find an expression for x, so we're trying to get x on its own. Alright, so let's write down x plus 5y equals 9. We're trying to get x on its own. Now, 5y is being added to x, so we need to do the inverse, the opposite of addition, which is subtract 5y from each side. And finally, pretty simple one, this one, x is equal to 9 minus 5y. Alright, awesome. That's the first method. Now the second method is actually using your CAS. Now there's a solve function in your calculator. If you just go to the main normal menu where you type in your normal calculations and you type in solve, bracket, and then if you type in the x plus 5, that's a times, y equals 9, right, like we've got up the top here, and then you need to define what variable we're looking for. All right, we're looking for x, so we're going to do the comma, x, close bracket. If you click enter, it will then show us x equals negative 5 times y plus 9. Alright, that's also the same as x equals 9 minus 5y. They're the same, just around the other way. If you were trying to find an expression for y, all you need to do is in your calculator put solve, x plus 5y, comma, we're looking for y. So we're looking for y. Right, rather than x, press enter, and that's going to spit out your value for y, or your expression for y, rather. What I suggest you do when you're doing your problems is you first one, do by hand, and then to check your answer, you use your CAS calculator. Awesome.